BarbacoaCore.
What is up, everybody? Thank you for checking out a new episode of the BarbacoaCore Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Huerta. Today, I am joined by the host of the Moustachioed Podcastio and also the frontman of Drown the Fear. Give it up for DANIEL SEGURA. What's up, man?
What is up, brother?
How you doing?
Pretty good, man. It's great to hear you again, man.
Yeah. I always don't know. Like, you have such great intros for your podcast. I'm like, I hate doing it. Like, I'm doing it like I'm hosting like a comedy show. So I'm like, put your hands together for this. But it's just us. There's nobody to hands together or anything. But I still do that. It's so fucking ridiculous.
I like to think one of your listeners just kind of walking downtown San Antonio and they just start clapping for no fucking reason. They're like, oh, well.
That would be awesome. So thanks for doing this, man. Like, this. I don't know why this didn't hit me before. I've been doing these Zoom meetings like with some buddies for the podcast or whatever, but all these people are like 20 minutes away from me, and I'm just like, oh, let's Zoom. Let's just talk on Zoom. And you, Daniel's in California right now, and I'm like, why the fuck don't I talk to people outside of Texas, outside of San Antonio? Like, why don't I stretch out and stuff?
Yeah.
So it's good to have you all the way from California. So what's it like to live in a blue state?
It's really weird. It's hard to explain because you almost have to be reminded that it's a blue state because I'm constantly. It's weird, like in Texas, especially growing up in San Antonio, where I guess San Antonio's kind of has its own type of environment and feeling and the community and the way it is, I think is very distinct in San Antonio. But in Texas in general, like you mentioned, it's weird hearing someone say the singer for Drown the Fear. Like I not that I haven't thought about my boys from Drown the Fear, but it's just been the fact that I'm not there in SA. I haven't had a chance to play in so long, and so it is kind of amazing. Like I miss performing. It's been a while, plus COVID. And in fact, I'll get back to the point I was making, but in fact, we were supposed to play in mid-March. I was going to take a plane out to San Antonio just for a show and to visit some family because it'd been a little bit, and COVID popped off, and I was like, I think I'm gonna just stay home.
Damn.
And they ended up canceling that show anyway. But yeah, so when I first moved out here to LA, it's in California, I've traveled here and there. The people just aren't as warm. And in Texas, you pretty much can go anywhere. But there's obviously some cities, they see us looking all Chicano and they kind of give us a look. But for the most part, everybody's pretty awesome. And like, they'll tell you hi, like even if they have no idea who you are, and
they'll give you a wave or what's up
like
or anything. Yeah.
A little something. Yeah. And it took me, no joke, 2 weeks to just stop saying what's up to people or good morning or good afternoon at work. Cause I would be passing by them down the hallway and I'd be like, oh, good morning. And I've never seen someone like so consciously try to avoid making eye contact with me.
Oh, for sure. Like they're like, mind your business. What the fuck?
Like I looked down because I thought maybe my dick was out or something. I was like, did I leave my fly open? Like, what is going on?
It's so weird. Like for a place like going back to like being a blue state, you would think that people in general would be like kind of nicer,
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. Even in Washington, Washington's been a blue state for quite a while. And when I was there, cold people,
cold-blooded.
Nobody. Yeah, and then it made me that way, like to where I was just like walking around all like mean mugging and shit, so people wouldn't fuck with me. But it took me a while once I moved back. I mean, I've been back for like 10 years. It took me a while to like get back into that, just saying hi to strangers. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
But little by little, it's like San Antonio, especially close to downtown, the Southtown area. It's becoming that vibe to where people don't even say what's up.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like, especially because do you live in Southtown right now?
Yeah.
So I was living in Southtown just before. I lived right off of Carolina and Crescent.
Mm-hmm.
And a cool, dope little, like, it was like a little apartment that was like an old historical home that had been fixed up pretty nice. And it was dope, man, especially being, I was single at the time. So like everything's popping off around there, and there was tons of stuff to walk to. Plus, like your homeboy here, I was jumping on scooters left and right. I was basically using scooters to go to work almost like 80% of the time.
Yeah.
So I was that guy. Yes, everyone, I was that guy that's wearing like casual business wear and on a scooter. I apologize, okay? I'm just trying to minimize my carbon footprint.
Yeah. No, you just want to have fun on your way to work.
Yeah,
you want to be a kid on your way to your adult job.
Yeah, like I'm like popping a little wheelie off the curb and shit. I'm like, I feel like I'm young again. But yeah, no, I did enjoy it out there. But you do get this vibe of like, oh, they're kind of judgier. They're like, oh, you're either from the Southtown area, you're from that area, or you're not. And, you know,
yeah.
And they know that a lot of outsiders come through too. That's like, Southtown's really weird. It's like the closest that people from the more well-off, higher income areas of the city, you know, like 281 North and areas around there, actually venture off to really quick just to stop at a restaurant, you know. But but every now and then they'll walk around, and I think people that are from the area are always kind of like, man, like they should be happy because it's good. The economy needs it, and it's good for them to be spending their money down there. But I think a lot of people they just become very cliquey about it, you know, a little judgy and shit. And that's kind of certain parts of LA in a nutshell. Luckily, where I live in South LA. It's a little more, I would say a little more hood, but the community that we're in is super tight knit. Everybody like knows each other. I mean, we moved in, like everyone knew how many years families from certain homes on the street had been there and stuff like that. So
what movie, if any, has been filmed in your neighborhood, in or around your neighborhood?
Yo, man, that's the problem with like, so I live in Huntington Park.
Huntington Park. Yeah,
some people call it HP, but when you say HP, people think Highland Park, which is like a slightly more kind of Austin-y vibe to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm no LA expert. I haven't been here that long, but that's the vibe that area gives me. It's kind of, you see like guys wearing scarves when it's like 90 degrees and shit.
Oh man, fuck that. Fuck that, dude.
They're like wearing beanies. I'm like, bitch, I'm sweating. If I was wearing a beanie, I'd be dying right now, dude.
Yeah, I can't stand that shit. I'm sweating right now and I'm inside. It's ridiculous. I'm a sweater. I can't do beanies. I can't do scarves. Fuck that.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. This is the least I've sweated. Since I moved out here, this is the least I've ever sweated. Like I have to like literally work outside to like start getting something. But yeah, Huntington Park it's because of the stuff. There's other areas that have been filmed, like, you know, we're not that far from like Inglewood, and we're not that far from, you know, the Compton areas, like probably, I guess, man, maybe it always feels like everything's like 20 to 30 minutes away from you and around here, but it's like a 25, 30-minute drive or something like that. So yeah, there's been plenty of stuff filmed around in the area, but I've never actually done research like what movies have been filmed in Huntington Park. So that's something I kind of want to look into, because I'm not sure. Maybe there's been a couple, who knows? Oh, you know what? I remember finding out that oh my God, why is it skipping my head? It's the John Travolta Grease. So at Grease, the interior shots of the high school were filmed at Huntington Park High School.
Oh, okay.
That's that's like the only thing I could think of.
No. Like there's this Netflix series, I forget what it's called. It's like gentrification, but Hentified. It's Hentified. So it was filmed in Boyle Heights, right? So everybody's
Boyle Heights, yeah.
So everybody was at first, they're like, "Oh, props to Boyle Heights," you know, they're representing, showing what's up. And then after that thing came out, they're like, "Fuck, now we can't afford to live here anymore." Like they're gonna raise the prices because Netflix made it all like looking popping. And no, like you do get a lot of, you know, also that's something that's very much echoed in San Antonio and a lot of major cities. You know, us growing up in the south side of San Antonio, a lot of that hasn't quite reached where me and you grew up. I guess a little bit here and there. No, it's starting, man. It's
starting a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I figured when I was living in Southtown, I started thinking like, man, a lot of like these young families are going to be starting to want to move here, but then they're going to look at the prices of the homes and they're going to start looking closer to where we grew up. and it's going to start expanding out there, which is a good and a bad thing. You know, it might push some people out of their homes because the taxes go up. You know, like everyone knows how gentrification works, but it is unfortunate. You want a little bit, but you don't want too much of it. So it's sort of a balance, and you need the city to also be thinking about the people that have been there since the very beginning, the families that have been there for a long time, and supporting them as well. So it's like that here in LA as well. Yeah, Boyle Heights, man, definitely. I think Huntington Park is also one of those places where I live right now, where it's kind of we're starting to grow, and it's starting to get better, and more businesses are growing. It's just now with COVID-19, obviously it's really set a lot of things back and slowed a lot of things down, but I'm hoping things will start continuing as usual. But you know, Texas and California seem to be like competing with who's going to get the most infections and who's going to get the most cases.
Yeah, dude, it's kind of sad. Like, what's the vibe like there? Like, are things opening up a little bit? Businesses and gatherings, and are y'all still like on hardcore shutdown?
It depends on what area you live in. I think LA County is still like in purple because there's like colors. I should know more, man, but there's like different colors, and I know that LA County is still in the pretty much essential businesses are the ones that are open right now. I think they recently allowed bars to open depending on like percentages of people that are in there or something like that.
Yeah,
could be wrong, but I think there's some areas that are like that. And the problem is that starts to happen, and then shortly thereafter we get like a little bit of a spike, and then you have to go take a step back and get back into the purple. So it's just, I think people just got incredibly, and this probably happened in Texas and other states, I think people just got like a fatigue, and you start letting your guard down.
Yeah.
I wear my mask, like even if I'm like I basically decided a mask is like putting on everything else, my clothes. Like I wouldn't go outside with no shoes, you know? So
yeah,
I treat it that way. And even though it sucks, it's hot, you know, and I would imagine in San Antonio, it's even worse sometimes. I know it's a little cooler right now, but I wear the mask, even if I walk to the liquor store down the street and like, I don't even run into anyone. I just keep it on. Like, I'm just trying to set some sort of a precedent to everyone else. Like, hey, this is still around. And I know you feel like it's gone, or maybe you haven't heard about it from anyone close to you right now, but it doesn't take much for all of a sudden somebody gets sick, and all of a sudden you're putting your loved ones in danger, especially your older adult loved ones, you know. So that's what really sucks about it.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like, stuff's opening up little by little here. They're staying safe, you know, but people just tend to get a little bit too comfortable once they've been in one place for a while. Like bars, of course, you know, you stay at your table, you put your mask on when you move around and stuff. That lasts 30 minutes, and then after that, like, no, you don't see any mask on faces, and people are up and hugging and stuff, and it's insane. But the whole shutdown just affected people so much. You know, like, I was pretty serious with it, and I really should be, and I'm gonna be more careful, especially now with the holidays coming up.
You've been slipping or what?
Oh man,
I can see the guilt in your face.
Dog. I am guilty. I feel bad, dude. I feel bad. Like, all right, well, tonight I'm doing a spot at the Tiger, and the Tiger is in the basement of the Magic Time Machine.
Yeah. Yep.
And we have limited the amount of people that are allowed to come downstairs. We asked them several times to keep their mask on. For the most part, they comply, but they're also drinking.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't say, okay, take a drink and then put your mask back on. Take a drink. You can't be too aggressive with them, because then they'll send the wrong vibe.
Yep. Yeah, and then the more they drink and you start trying to enforce it more, people tend to get like, everyone's a slightly different. The people that drink all are kind of different, depending on, some are more positive and fun, and some are a little more edgy. And like, it only takes that one guy to get fired up when you try to tell him to put his mask on and he's had a few too many, or he's buzzing and he starts, it just ruins it for everyone else. So yeah, there is this, I would imagine there is a unrelenting, very anxiety ridden pressure for both people that are, running those shows, for the owners, for the employees. Like, it is a very stressful situation. You want people to have a good time. You don't want to be like, oh no, you don't want to be that bar where people are like, oh, don't go there. They really enforce the mask stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's scary, it's difficult. You want to try to keep your business open. So you don't want to try to tell people what to do. But at the same time, you don't want to be the business that's on the news because a COVID-19, freaking outbreak went off, because you didn't bother doing anything about it. So
yeah,
it is a balance, man. I think you shouldn't feel, there's that whole thing where, and we all grew up with that, especially in school, where you see all the kids doing something. It is very difficult to be that person that's the odd person out because everybody else is feeling like, oh, who gives a crap, especially in the environment. Some environments where a lot more people aren't going to follow it, So it's tough, dude. It is tough.
It is tough. Like, for the first 6 months, for sure, we were very strict with it. We were very strict. We didn't see nobody. We didn't go anywhere. But then you start seeing people living their lives, and you're just like, well, man, like, it sucks for me because I'm stuck here at home. And I'm not saying it's an excuse. I'm not saying that it's right. Yeah. And I do feel bad, but I need to be more careful with it.
I think we just need to accept that this isn't going to go anywhere until we have a vaccine, and that vaccine isn't going to be available to all of us for quite some time, probably a lot later than we think. Mm-hmm. And we need to start integrating all these efforts that we did for these first 6. Like, I'm not saying that we should never go outside or we should never go to public places and hang out at a bar or something, but we should constantly know that it's there. I think it's just tough because you can't see it. It
takes days. It takes a couple of days.
Yeah, it's very difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's just working in as a standard procedure of like, I'm gonna wear my, like, if I haven't gone to a bar yet because like I said, I think bars are open, but I have literally not paid attention to that because I do mostly stay home, or we go for a hike, or we go somewhere where it's out in the open. Mm-hmm. I actually like drinking alone, so it worked out really great for me. Social drinking annoys me because I don't get to just enjoy the feeling of the slight kind of buzz and elevation that you get when you're having a good drink, like maybe a bit of whiskey or something.
No, I get that. Yeah, I get that for sure.
Which is also a bad thing, though. That's made it. I always have people tell me, like, that's a bad thing. Like, it sucks when it's not good when you like to drink alone because you're going to drink at home and you're going to drink more than you would have if you went to a bar and spent more money. But I can't help it. Like, it just is easier for me. And it has, I have physically seen the results of being home quarantine for this long because I just, have increased that amount of drinking, and I've probably gained like 20 pounds. So I'm having to knock down. I have to lose like 25, 30 pounds. So that's going to suck.
I mean,
still look okay though. Like I'm chulo, but I'm just puffy.
But God bless the liquor stores for never closing, man. They were essential the whole time. And I agree that they've always been essential to me through and through.
Well, LA is California in general is a place, especially from my experience here in LA, like, it blew my mind that CVS and Walgreens have like
liquor.
Yeah. And I was just like, holy shit, there's like some bullet bourbon rye right there. Like, I was like, what the fuck? I could just, and it's down my street.
That's dangerous. That shit is dangerous to me. I remember, like, when I was going on tour and stuff, we would stop at these places where they had liquor at the grocery store. And I was like, this is insane. I'm so happy right now.
Yeah. It's so weird that that's the thing in Texas. Like, they're so particular about who can sell liquor, and they make it very complicated, even for like venues to sell liquor. Yeah. I've been to a lot of venues where, like, or if I've performed at venues with the band where they're like, well, we can just sell beer. We don't have a liquor license because it's like a bitch or it's expensive or something.
Yeah.
They don't make it very easy. It's so weird. I mean, I don't understand it. To me, it's like the same shit, but I don't know. Whatever, man. I just know I need to stop drinking so much.
Yeah, I'm trying to cut back. It's weird. What helps is like doctor's appointments when you gotta do blood work and all that stuff. You're like, oh, I can stop drinking for a couple weeks. So I think that 2 weeks or whatever that I stopped drinking is gonna make a world of difference from all the shit I've done to my liver.
I know, right?
But we'll see.
I know. I'm gonna schedule one, and probably in like late January. So this is like my month to just sort of throw in as much more bullshit into my body.
Yeah.
And then I think December, I'm going to start just drinking Fridays and Saturdays, and that's it. And
yeah,
and
I just do one day now.
Blasted.
Yeah.
So, and not to say I'm getting blasted every day, Otto. I don't want you to start reaching out to me with your groups that I should speak to. I'll be okay. But I actually did take just randomly in April or May, I just took 30 days off. I was just like, I just want to take 30 days off. I just want to make sure I'm not weird about this.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
Because when you've been doing something so casually for a while, you start worrying about like, wait, am I addicted? I can't tell. Because it seems like addicts never know until it's like really way far in. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to take 30 days off and see if I get weird or agitated. I was fine. I really wanted a beer, but it was almost like wanting a pizza, you know, like I want pizza every fucking day. Like if I could eat pizza every day and not become a giant person, like I would totally do that. And that's kind of what it is for liquor for me, except it's not,
sure.
You know, the effect isn't quite as bad as eating pizza every day.
Yeah.
Beer
the
probably
are so bad. The hangovers are getting worse year by year.
For you? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh shit. Mine have, I guess cause I'm learning like how my body works better. What I do is I drink. So we're on Zoom, everyone, so he can see me. I don't know if you released this with the Zoom video on.
No, I'll be audio, but yeah.
Okay. So I drink, see this giant jug?
Uh-huh.
I drink a whole one the whole day. And it's, I think it's, I don't know how much it is, 116 ounces. And so I drink that much every day. So that way I'm plenty hydrated.
Uh-huh.
And it's not like, oh, now I have an excuse to like drink a whole bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
But if I go a little over, at least my body can kind of reacclimate itself a little bit better. And I'll wake up not feeling completely like crap. But actually, you know, a couple of days ago, I want to say it was like Tuesday, I drank a little too much whiskey, and I was getting ready for work and getting ready and prepared, and I was telling myself like, yeah, I can't do this. Like I can't do this. I need to lighten up a little bit, because it did hit me. It is the worst trying to focus, and luckily I just sort of I always get like a nice giant burrito or something, and breakfast burrito, grease it up real good, have a bit of coffee, and that normally kicks me back into gear. But everyone's different.
What's funny is that like when I was going into the office after a night of drinking, I used to drink a lot on Tuesday night, so going to work on Wednesday, so hungover, but my body would do me a favor and just say, okay, we know you're hungover, or maybe I was still drunk, I don't know, but then we'll go like, but it'll be like, we'll save this hangover, get through your work day, and as soon as you get home, you're gonna collapse, just so you know that. And that's exactly what would happen. I would stumble through my work day, get those 8.5 hours done, but as soon as I get home, done. Like just spent the energy weak. I was like, this is, it's not worth it anymore. It's not worth it to do it like that anymore.
Yeah, I definitely fell into that sort of routine when I was living alone.
Yeah.
Because that is the magic of so I was married for a long time. I not really that long, but like 7 years, but I was with her for a while after, like before that. And it was insane being able to just leave. Like you just leave. You don't tell anybody. You don't have to plan for it.
What's that like?
It's freaking amazing. You know, I was always like the guy at work, like, hey, you want to go grab some drinks? And like, I'd have to go through like 6 or 7 people before I would get someone that was like wanted to do it, because everyone has lives and families and children and pets. And then, like I said, I lived down the street basically from work when I was in San Antonio, and yeah, man, I would go to Burleson Beer Garden, and I would go, and I love that place. If any of y'all listeners in San Antonio, definitely support Burleson. I'm not sure if they're probably open, right?
They're probably open. They're outdoors, yeah.
And I'd go there and then come home. It was a really short drive, or I would take a Lyft or something. And yeah, I would go into work, and yeah, man, I would just basically do what you just said. I would just muster it up. I would eat a good breakfast. I would just get through it. I would do my thing, lean on the lean on the bit of talent that I have, and just push through. And then I would get home and would just knock out for like 2 hours. I would take my dog out really quick, and then we would just knock out for 2 hours. And then I would wake up and be like, what a day.
Yeah. Like that whole day. Yeah, that whole day you're like, I'm never gonna drink again. I'm never gonna drink again. And then the following day you're just like, I could use a beer.
Well,
I own a beer.
That is one of the things, especially if you're like touring, or you're out with friends or anything like that. It is crazy, and this is honestly what a lot of people that spiral out of control with drinking do, is they simply drink a little bit when they get up, or just shortly after. And that does tend, because your body is like trying to reacclimate itself to the lack of alcohol, since you put so much in it, and you put a little bit in there, like a cocktail or a beer or something, and it will sort of balance you out usually, unless you drank way so much that you're just freaking puking everywhere. But that hasn't happened to me since for a long time. Like, I'm usually a lot more careful than that, but yeah, man, it is definitely something I'm going to have to keep on chipping away at, because we're both getting older. Yeah. And you definitely start feeling the effects more, like the physical effects. So yeah, I gotta put that work in. I know I do. I gotta put that work. I gotta work out more, for sure.
More positive stuff, not all like the alcohol and the whatever else you'll have in California available. Dad, you see Oregon? RIP Oregon, man. Like all drugs are legal in Oregon.
No way.
Yeah, or decriminalized. I guess decriminalized.
Wow.
Well, I guess not illegal drugs, but all drugs are decriminalized in Oregon, which is insane. So, RIP Oregon.
I've always felt like that would be a good experiment to see. So I think it's good that somebody did that, or one of the states did that, because I think it would be a great case study to see if it's worth doing something like that. I think it relinquishes the power of the people profiting off of that stuff. Because all of a sudden, I don't know, like, I feel like it takes away the stigma. I don't know why, especially for young people.
That. Yeah.
Like, it being illegal makes it more mysterious or something. But then all of a sudden now it's just like, oh, this is just someone that makes you like a dirty person,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that anymore.
Well, I mean, we could have always said that about alcohol, but it wasn't hard to get alcohol in high school. It was very easy, a little too easy sometimes. So
yeah, real easy.
So I mean, well, I guess we'll find out how they do. I mean, like, it's insane for them to do that, but
yeah, that is crazy pants, dude. I couldn't imagine that happening in Texas. Like, holy shit.
No, it'll never happen. It'll never happen.
Do you think weed will ever be legalized, or cannabis will be legalized in Texas?
I think the furthest they'll go is medical. It'll be medical.
Yeah.
And they'll be real strict with those medical things. I don't know anything about anything either, but I feel like if they just keep it medical, that will satisfy people a little bit.
Also, like, politically speaking, the people that run Texas, especially the conservative officials that run Texas, they don't want it to look like, oh, we're just liberating and Texas. So I think you're right. I think if they were to, they would kind of just walk that thin line and be like, well, we're not legalizing it fully, because obviously I think they still are the ones that believe it's a gateway drug and all that stuff from like the 90s. It was really weird though when I first drove through here, and I was just like seeing all these different cannabis shops just kind of scattered about, and I just thought it was so interesting. I was like, man, that is so freaking weird, dude. Like you
Yeah.
just walk into a place. You don't need a California ID. All you just need is an ID. So you can come in from anywhere and buy that stuff. And obviously you take a risk if you leave the state lines. But yeah, man, it is crazy. It's and honestly, not a big deal. You know, like it doesn't seem to be affecting much. So I really don't see the big thing. It creates jobs, you know, like not a whole bunch, but I'm sure in the big picture it doesn't create a whole bunch, but it does create jobs. It creates more businesses and things like that. So yeah, and when I moved out here, I actually, because you know, you being in the comedy scene out there and being a part of that whole honestly, I just as something that's really starting to grow locally in San Antonio, which is awesome because I don't know about you, but when I was in high school and when I was like in my early 20s, I don't remember like a lot of small comedy venues or where you could just see like a quick open mic, like at a local bar or something like that. I didn't see that a lot, man. Like
I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I knew about the River Center one,
the
River
big
Center
ones,
Comedy Club.
yeah.
And then LOL opened up about 14 years ago. No, maybe more than that. But it just wasn't on my radar. Like I just didn't understand the whole like open mic stuff. I didn't know how that worked.
Yeah, man.
But and it's weird. Like it's like, you notice how whenever you buy like a new car, like a new like a kind of car or whatever, like the make and model and stuff, and you think nobody has this car. Absolutely nobody has this car. I have this car. I'm the only one that has this car.
Yeah.
And then you start driving around, and then you start seeing other cars. Like they're like,
everywhere.
oh, like yeah, this car's everywhere. This car's always been around. I'm not the only one that has this car.
Yeah, exactly.
It's sort of like that because I'm pretty sure it's been like obviously it's been around for a long time. I don't know if it's growing now or if I just more aware of it because I'm part of it.
Probably a little bit of both because I think it's I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's the fact that more people are. I think a lot of people in San Antonio just never took comedy as something you could actually do. San Antonio is much more, if you're looking at that type of lifestyle of like going into the arts type style of living, you're either going to do actual art in San Antonio. Like we have a lot of awesome, crazy, talented artists, and we have a lot of musicians. So that was usually the route you were going to go. You were going to either do like the artsy thing or you were going to go a musician route. And comedy was like just not, to me, wasn't something that came across my shit ever. And maybe you're right. Maybe a part of that was I wasn't part of that scene or wasn't actively looking for it. But I would say probably 10 years ago, I actively looked and there wasn't a lot of places where you could find it. And then by the time I left San Antonio, there was like an open mic down the street at like a local bar. You know, like I just don't remember that happening as often in my memory, and maybe I'm wrong, but I just feel like there's definitely, before all this COVID stuff went off, I feel like it's definitely it was going into that track of having the popularity that maybe the Austin, I don't know how the Austin comedy scene rivals San Antonio.
It's not the same at all. Like Austin's huge. Austin's big. So
I think some of that is trickling over, just like much of a lot of Austin trickles over to us, and sometimes people don't want it to in San Antonio, but I think part of that is going to be trickling over, especially with some of the things that are going to be going on in Austin, with some of those big heavy hitters that are moving into that area. It might create more opportunities for comedians to not, and some of those comedians might want to try their shit out, and maybe they don't want to try them out in Austin. Maybe they want to go to San Antonio. So then you get more San Antonio comedians coming through, or you get more comedians from Austin coming through to San Antonio to try some stuff out. So I think it could happen. I think it could start growing. There's definitely going to be a window for it to really grow and just shine. So hopefully that happens. I think in LA, it's kind of like comedian, like in LA, you could see a comedian that's really famous, like do their comedy set for like 30 people, because they come out here just to kind of do their thing and try out some new shit, and then they like actually go on a real tour and then go and do their thing, which I love, by the way. I love being able to see all these people that I've been following for a long time
Yeah, they're right in your backyard.
They're
type of
there,
thing.
yeah. Like
That's insane. That's really fucking cool. But at the same time, it has to be like like for somebody who's trying to be in the comedy scene, it has to be way oversaturated right now.
it's oversaturated, and it's also very. I think it would be very intimidating because it's funny when I moved out here. What was it? It's been a little over a year, but when I moved out here, I seriously had people tell me like, oh, you should look into like writing or maybe write some stuff and go on stage and try it out. Like, see what you think,
Yeah.
see if you even like it. And I felt like I was too old for it. And I know you talked about that on my show. For that, y'all don't know, Patrick was on the Moustachioed Podcastio, and we talked a little bit about that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was like, yeah, fuck it. Like, who cares? Like, I think I could go up there and do something. And by the time I started finally getting off, because the first thing I wanted to do when I got here was get a job.
Mm-hmm.
So I that took me a little bit. It's very tough to find a decent job out here, but I did. And then I was like, okay, that's done. Let me start. And now I'm going to give it 2 months to get acclimated to my job. I don't want to get too distracted with other stuff. I'm just focused on my job. Then after that, it was probably like January, February, started writing. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll hit up an open mic. And then COVID-19 happened. And then I was like, okay, so I'm not going to hit up an open mic. I think I'm going to start a podcast. Like, I mean, at least I can do something with some creativity. I can have some fun. I knew you had your show and I had listened to it before and I thought it was awesome. I thought it was cool to hear a voice that is similar to the kind of voices I grew up with, because I think there aren't a lot of popular I mean, obviously there are popular podcasts with hosts of people of color, but I think I just hadn't heard a lot from that voice, that specific voice that I grew up with in San Antonio. So it's always awesome to see you do it. And I was like, man, I want to give it a whirl, and I had a chance to be to guest in a podcast for a couple of times, actually, a couple of episodes of the Grind Bin podcast. It's a really dope movie podcast where they talk about grindhouse films, exploitation films from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s.
Oh, okay.
And I'd been listening to them probably like for 2.5 years, 3 years. They've been on for almost like 4 years or something like that. And when I got here to LA, for no freaking reason other than the fact I didn't have a job and I was bored as hell, I just messaged them and I was like, hey, can I come on like as a guest? And thinking like, and I kind of like went for the pity route because I was like, I'm just new in LA and I don't know anyone. And I've been listening to your show for a while and it'd be fun to pop on, and I'm comfortable around microphones and stuff. So I think it would be fun. And they said yes. And they let me even pick the movie. We did a Bloodsucking Freaks, which was a year now ago. It was like November something, like early November, that episode was released. And when I had a chance to do that, I was like, it hit me that I wanted to try it. I just didn't actually do it until later on when I finally got my podcast off the ground. But it's been awesome since. I think it's good. I think it's a good way to at least get your voice and kind of get that confidence and have some fun at the same time and make some new friends and shit. I think it's been a great time.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I like doing it. So tell people more about your podcast. Is the Moustachioed podcast?
Talking all about the grinding because they're the podfather.
Yeah. Where'd you come up with the idea for yours?
Well, that's what's kind of funny. I guess I subconsciously decided because I remember at some point I wanted to do a podcast about mustachioed actors. Like, I'm like, oh, that would be so funny. I had even created a logo for it like in 2017 or something like that, 2018. Yeah. Somewhere around there. And I created a logo for it and I had the name for it. And I was like, isn't that funny? And I remember telling my ex-wife, like, isn't that a funny concept? She's like, oh yeah, that would be great. You should do something like that. I will put so much attention to something for like 2 days and then not go back to it for like 7 months or something.
Same.
Same. I'm the
so
worst.
Much same. Yeah.
And so I had this sort of rolling around, spinning around. And then that's when I finally decided to launch it. And I wanted it to be a show where I could also do episodes on my own. I didn't want to always have to depend on getting guests, because that is kind of the more stressful part, is like organizing and getting the timing right for everybody's schedule. And so I have some episodes called Solo Cholos.
Yeah.
Where I just talk about a movie and I feature a mustachioed actor that's in that movie that has also sported a mustache in real life as well. So it can't just be someone that slaps on a mustache for a Western or something, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a comedy show, really. I'm not like a big film connoisseur, so I'm sure there's like film people, like movie buffs that listen to my show and they're like, nah, fuck this. This guy doesn't know his shit. But I'm really there to have a good time and to learn. Like I have guests that are more educated and know more about film, actually went to film school, some of them, and they can add some of that aspect to it. And I'm just like goofy piece of shit guy that just makes stupid jokes and has a good time and just laughs most of the time. So yeah, it's been fun. And so anyway, I found out that there is an episode, like an early episode of the Grime Bin, where one of the hosts, who's not even a host there anymore, he was a host for like maybe 25 episodes or something like that. He does this one-off comment of, wouldn't it be funny if there was a podcast just about actors with mustaches? Didn't come up with the name or nothing, but he just said it and everybody laughed. And then when I got my podcast out, my friend Bobby, who's one of the co-hosts for the Grime Bin now, was like, hey, did you know that this person had said this in an episode? I was like, holy shit, he like planted the seed in my brain, and like I forgot that I even
it was
heard
like in your subconscious.
Yeah, dude, because I swear to God, I was just like, holy shit, I do remember that episode. And so I went back and listened to it, and I was like, yeah, dude, he like planted that seed, and then like almost 3 years later, I finally created that stupid show.
Yeah.
So I would say is inspired by that Grime Bin episode. Even if I didn't remember, it definitely was, because I had to have heard it. So
yeah, I mean, it's cool, man. It's a great idea. We did Stir Crazy.
Oh yes,
that was a lot of fun.
That was really fun.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest. You watch a lot of movies that I don't know, and I'm like, oh, let me watch this movie first, and then get your take on it and stuff. So I enjoyed the one that you did, the No Hold Barred, because that was one of my favorite fucking movies. I watched that movie like so many times, and then you brought out details that I didn't really like think about, and I was like, oh yeah,
yeah. And I think that was with my friend Tim, who is hilarious dude, and he's from Queens, so he brings that New York attitude to every episode he's on.
Yeah, and then what's the one the one that you did with your brother, the Chuck Norris one?
Oh yeah, we did Silent Rage.
Silent Rage. Yeah, that was a fun one too, man.
Yeah, that movie. I was gonna give that movie. So I rate my mustache. I rate my movies by my favorite mustaches, and the lowest rating I could give a movie is the toothbrush mustache, which is Hitler's stash. I almost gave Silent Rage that, but my brother, he just saw with his weird positive spirit. I was like, you know what? Yeah, I did have a good time.
Yeah.
He just manages to make you like everything he likes. It's like a weird superpower, man.
Have you done Cloak and Dagger yet?
No, I have not done Cloak and Dagger. That is something I might have to add to the list.
All right. Well, let me have dibs on that one if you ever do that one. I want to come back and do Cloak and Dagger. I just watched that like a couple weeks ago. Because it's in San Antonio, and the secret message that it has in it, I just got it. like this, I was like, oh, that's what it's all about, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun because it's all like shot in like 80% of it's shot in San Antonio.
Man. I have not seen a lot of movies shot in San Antonio. There aren't. I don't think. I'm curious how many there are out there.
I don't think there's many.
I don't know why. I think there's a lot of good. I think it's a lack of knowing. I think if more people that directed movies knew the different environments that you can dig out of San Antonio that you could use for a movie, I think they would come by more. But yeah, man, I am more than happy to bring you on board for Cloak and Dagger. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun, man. So whenever you're ready, just give me a notice, and I'll go and do my homework on that stuff. Because you have to do your homework for sure. You have to do your homework.
Yes,
if you're gonna go on your podcast, you have to do your homework, which is fun.
Yeah, man, it is fun. Because you want to take part. Like that was something I learned early on when I was doing other movie podcasts. Was that if you want to be able to be effective and like be able to say what you want to say, and you'll still miss things that you wanted to say, like after you're done with the episode, you're like, oh man, I wanted to say that. So I try to put in some work into it because I do want to be able to get people through the movie, and almost like, I guess, like an audiobook but for movies is basically what my show is like sometimes, because you can my sister told me early on where she was like, I felt like I was watching the movie like in my head.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
So I try to do that a little bit. I don't want to go too much into minute details because it could get crazy boring and long. I'm releasing a episode on Monday when this episode releases. And that one went long. We can talk more about it, tail end of this, but yeah, I was like, whoa. But I didn't want to edit. Like, I tried to edit as much as I could, and there was a lot of stuff where I'm like, hey, I'm gonna keep that in there. Why not? Like, I was getting close to that 3-hour mark, man.
Yeah.
Like,
3 hours? That's insane. Yeah. That's insane.
Yeah, I know, man. But these two cats it was like,
what movie was it?
Okay, so we did Super Troopers, 2001 Super Troopers.
Oh man. All right.
That was like a movie of our time. You know, we were in our prime back then, man. Me and you.
I'm gonna be honest. The first time I saw it, hated it.
No, for real. Okay. Yeah.
Hated it. And then I saw it again, not sober, and I was like, this is the best thing ever.
Yes, it is definitely a movie. To me, it's a movie you need to watch with your buddies, with your friends, and having a good time and just laugh at it. Because when I watched it by myself at night on my computer, I did not have a good time. Like, the jokes don't quite land. So the whole time, it's three of us. It's me, Tim, and Eddie the Axe. He's the host of the Bloody Bits podcast. It's like horror movie stuff. Great show. Eddie's basically trying to convince me and Tim that this movie's good. Like, for like 3 hours. He's like, oh, come on. Like, what percentage are you now that you like it? Because we were just bashing it. But after a while, I started realizing, no, I think if I could have seen it, if we could have all three watched it together, we would have had a great time.
Yeah.
It's just hard when you watch it by yourself and you're sober. You're just like, okay.
Yeah, it just hits different. It hits
car
different.
ramrod. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it grew on me, because then when we started talking about it, I was genuinely cracking up.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I will say, like I mentioned before, when me and Patrick were talking before we started recording, I told him that I did sort of I did sort of reveal something that I was not planning on revealing from my youth. And speaking of you being in the comedy scene, it has to do with the great Howie Mandel.
Oh yeah.
Who's not often thought of as a stand-up comedian anymore. He's just the bald guy that's weird about germs and hosts shows.
Yeah.
But at one point, he was a very, very successful stand-up comedian.
Yeah, he was very good. He was very
I don't know
well
how
known.
good he was.
All I know is that balloon thing, that plastic rubber glove balloon thing. That's all I know about his comedy, and then Bobby's World, the voice that he does.
Yes, he was like famous for those like 2 bits, and then some writer, in Hollywood was like, let's give this guy a cartoon.
Yeah, good cartoon. I like the cartoon.
I like Bobby's World. Yeah, there's some pretty good characters in there, but and I'll say here, since both our episodes are coming out around the same time, but it was like a coming of age, like literally coming of age, because I was at my uncle's house and Howie Mandel special was playing. I'm not sure if it was like HBO or Showtime or something like that. It was definitely a channel that I didn't get at home. And we were watching it. And I just remember hearing this one line that he says where he's like, to be a teenager, soap was a slut. That's what he says. And everyone laughed in the room, but I'm like 12 years old. So I'm like, what? Soap is a slut. So then like a week or two later, I'm taking a shower and I'm a soap to skin guy. And I'm taking a shower and I hear Howie Mandel's voice like, soap was a slut. And I'm like, wait a minute. I worked my way down there. And that was the first time I ever pleasured myself.
So Howie Mandel. Wow.
Howie Mandel taught me how to.
Yeah. Well, the thought of Howie Mandel, his voice, just got
inspired
you
there. Me. He got me there. He was like he was my Yoda. He was my pleasuring Yoda. Yeah, so that was one of those I was like, oh God, should I cut that out? That's horrible. But it's funny, man. Like, it is crazy.
Yeah, it
It's
is
always
funny.
made me laugh.
That is funny, dude. That's cool.
My God.
So, what's going on with the band? What's going on with Drown the Fear? Y'all still? I mean, y'all are still a band, right?
I mean, I would say it's like a hiatus period. We definitely never had some like breakup or last show technically.
Yeah.
I think I don't know what the future holds for us. I personally, and I haven't talked to them about this, but I personally would like to pivot and try some new stuff and maybe even, either add some people or add some instruments or something like that. Like maybe I take on something and learn something instead of just yelling at a mic.
Mm-hmm.
But it would be fun to kind of maybe try some different stuff. I love heavy music. Like I've been making and doing vocals for heavy music for so long, and I feel like I'm decent at it. It's unfortunate that we never had the opportunity to really be on that stage where we could really see if this is something that a lot of people would enjoy. We just never quite got that sort of break. And also, I think all of us were very much, what is the word? I don't know if we all had that kind of drive that it takes that I know you have, and a lot of musicians that we know have in them, that kind of grit and the drive that it takes to be able to have any type of a life doing heavy music as a living. Like it is unbearably difficult. There's punk bands that a lot of us, punk and metal bands that we've all loved, that we would think are doing great, but in days when they're not touring, they're probably working like at a bakery shop or some shit, or at a bar. Yeah. It's a tough life, and I don't think we were ready to take that kind of play. I think maybe I put a lot on my plate as well. At a young age, when I graduated from high school, I had a lot of pressure I had one of those families that had a lot of pressure on me to go to college and get my degree and continue my education. And so I tried to do both, and I just don't think you can. I think I would have been able to put so much more into it. So the band, and I did end up graduating, and I went that route, and now I work in marketing and PR. And so it was always, I think as soon as that happened and I started building my career, I think the music thing became more of like, this is something I'm passionate about, that my friends are passionate about. And when we have a great time creating this music, and we have a great time at the shows. People enjoy the shows. Like if I ever played a show and not a single person came up to me and said like, hey man, I really love this part, or I love what you did here, or I love what your drummer did. Something. If I had a show and not one person said something, I'd be like, all right, I guess I'm done. I guess this is it. Nobody gives a shit about this. Yeah. So I think being able to see like literally, I'm in the front and I'm looking at everyone, to visually see everyone having a good time, even if it's just 20 people or 40 people, seeing them have a good time, that made it worth it. The amount of work it took to create that music and all that good stuff. And so I feel like I don't want to completely let go of that. I think I would love to be able to keep making music. I just don't know if I want to keep making heavy music, like super heavy music like we were making. I think it would be fun to try something different. We've been doing this thing for a long time. We have a lot of talent in the band, and I feel like it would be a great opportunity to do something like that. We're getting older, like we I think it makes sense for like bands like Terror and all those hardcore bands that we were listening to, like either in the late 90s or early aughts, to still be playing music because they have such a huge following. Yeah. But I think for us, where we don't have this huge following anymore, just because we just didn't have that consistency there to keep playing and keep staying in people's minds, and marketing and branding and all that stuff. I think it would be a matter of like, we just want to keep playing those songs for the people for our friends basically. Or we could, if we ever get back together and I move back to San Antonio or something like that, or something like that, or we can even make music kind of remotely. That's possible too.
Yeah. A lot of people do that now.
Yeah, you could do that. So it's always possibilities, but I think it would be fun to try something different. I don't know.
Have y'all recorded anything? Y'all have anything out?
We have no, it's been a few years now. We have a demo, and I think we have a couple of demo tracks out. I think like 4 or 5 that we recorded. I want to say it was like 2018, but we actually I think we were still playing like 3 of those songs pretty consistently because we had a really good time playing those songs. And we like most bands, you start adding shit to it or you like change it up a little bit. But that's a pretty good, those are on Bandcamp. If y'all have ever heard of Bandcamp, it's like the best way to find new bands that are just up and coming. Mm-hmm. And, not that we were one of those, but you can find like all kinds of music there. Like it's amazing. I love Bandcamp. Their apps are super dope and easy to use. And so we have music on there, Drown the Fear, and you can find those tracks on there if y'all ever want to check them out. They're not anything like mind blowing, but I think it's really fun and just good music to just kind of like maybe you're just angry and you want to punch the sky.
Now Drown the Fear, and I hate to be that guy that like what's the joke or what's the inside joke?
What's the joke?
But Drown the Fear, DTF.
Yeah, we'll see.
Did y'all reverse engineer that band name or
no?
Okay.
But that sucked. So what happened was, they got a funny story with that too. What happened was we were the name of our band. We were more of like a punk. Man, it was weird. I guess like a punky, thrashy type band when we first started, and we called ourselves Pointless because we just couldn't.
Oh, that's right. Name. That's right. Yeah.
And we just couldn't think of a name, and I think Rocky, our guitarist, was like, "Man, this is just pointless. Like, who gives a shit?" And I was like, "Let's just name it Pointless." And so we stuck with that for so many years, and then we decided to actually pivot the music and get more into that. I guess like metalcore, hardcore type sound, and not so much in that kind of punky thrashy sound.
Yeah.
And so when we decided to do that, we thought it was going to be such a drastic kind of change. It would have been weird to keep that name. And also I think we had taken like almost a year off hiatus. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, not by our own doing. I think we had like all our stuff stolen or something like that happen.
Shit.
And so we just couldn't play. And so we decided like, hey, well, let's just change the band name and this and that. This was like 2005-ish, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. And I was always one of those people, like the band's brand or the band's energy, like all that. Like I did all the lyrics. I did all the vibe of it, that was a lot of me. And at the time I was writing a lot of lyrics about either kind of like political type stuff or just social things, like from like my upbringing and my environment that I grew up in. I think I was trying to speak to other kids that grew up in that were growing up in that same environment as well. Mm-hmm. I guess like feeling like you're not quite, you're just sort of against the grain kind of person. So I would write lyrics like that. And I think a lot of times the problem with a lot of people is that they just have like, they let their fear sort of take control of them. So I called the band Drown the Fear because it's like you have more control over your life and you have more control over who you are if you just kind of like find a way to lower that fear. So it's like a super meaningful, stupid teenager idea that I had in my head. Then Superbad gets released in like 2007 or 6 or something like that, like almost like a year and some change later.
Yeah.
And that's when the DTF thing came in. I think it was maybe part of the lexicon at that time, but it wasn't as widespread. And Superbad just made DTF a fucking like worldwide. Everyone knew what that meant. And literally like months before that movie was released, I had DTF tattooed on my back. On my upper back. Not my lower back. It's not a tramp stamp. But we played a show at a tattoo shop. And the tattoo guy was like, well, I can't pay y'all, but I'll give y'all free tattoos. And I was like, you know what, man? Put DTF, John the Fear on my back, man. I'll put it like right here on the top. And, it's like right below my neck. And he put it nice and the size of a fucking dinner plate. So I've literally not broken any laws because I don't want anyone thinking I'm down to fucking prison, dude.
Damn, dude. That's an unfortunate tattoo. That's a great band name and a great meaning for that band name. Unfortunate tattoo.
Unfortunate tattoo and unfortunate initials. And so I have actually been saving up. I'm actually gonna get it covered and put a new tattoo over it. But yeah, and it sucks, man, because the band means so much to me. But I'm like, I can't be going around with DTF on my skin, like. And here's another supporting story. So I love getting massages. Like, I'm a big person that's into like getting that kind of thing. It really helps with my anxiety personally. So I used to go to massages all the time, like maybe 2 or 3 times a month. And I tried this new place in San Antonio like 3 or 4 years ago. And I went up to it was done. I went up to the cashier to pay, and I saw a Post-it, like a little Post-it on her desk, and it said DTF ?
Oh man.
So like they were talking about it, like, oh, this guy in the room, he has DTF on his back. What do y'all think that means? So then right before I left, after I finished paying, I was like, it means drown the fear. And she was like so embarrassed. I'm like, it doesn't mean down to 5. She was so embarrassed. She was like, oh shit, that was the guy that had the DTF on his back.
Oh man, God, that's fucking hilarious. I think I'm gonna have to make a clip out of just that, just for like a little snippet.
My life, dude, is sometimes a damn Seinfeld episode. I swear to God.
Oh, that is so fucking hilarious, dude. That is so fucking hilarious. I'd keep it. Like, just stick with it, man. If it means that to you, I don't know. But yeah,
I think I might find a way to symbolize what that is, what it means to me, and just in a different way, and I'll put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I definitely won't have DTF on me.
On your back.
Yes, it's still there. It's still there, everybody. It's still there. And I forget it's back there. Like, I don't look at it. I don't go looking in mirrors to see the reflection of my back, so I often forget. And then someone always sees it in a situation where, we're going to a pool or something, like, oh, bro, what does DTF mean? Like, fucking, what the fuck? And so then I got to go through this whole story. So maybe I'll just direct them to this episode.
Does anybody else have, anybody else in the band have the DTF tattoo?
I think they all do except Rocky, but they all didn't get giant dinner plate sized ones. They're all small.
Huge?
Like, the one on my back is pretty. It's like, I think it's like probably like that big, dude.
Oh my God.
It's pretty big. It's not large dinner plate. I'm joking with that, but it is pretty big.
Yeah.
And so the other guys, I have it like thin, like on the wrist or in the inside of the arm. Yeah. So they are fine. They nobody will notice it. And plus, like, Felix has
DTF on the back is like, yeah, that's a mixed message for sure.
Yeah, dude. I feel like that's like basically a welcome sign.
Oh, that's so funny, man.
You might as well be lighting up, like, enter me.
Come and get it.
So yeah, that was one of those decisions that if I could go back, maybe I would come up with a different idea. Like, why don't we just spell it out? It's worth the pain.
Yeah, fuck it. Oh man, it's fucking hilarious. Dude, I can't thank you enough for doing this. This was a lot of fun. You know what I forgot?
Man. This was crazy fun.
Plugs. We were supposed to do your plugs at the beginning. Completely forgot about it. So plugs, social media, anything you got coming up, let people know about it right now, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So you can check out the Moustachioed Podcastio anywhere you listen to podcasts. I'm on Google Podcasts, Apple, all that stuff, Stitcher. And you can also find out what's coming up in the upcoming episodes. Like Patrick was saying, I think a lot of listeners like to watch the movie before listening to the episode. So you can visit Instagram. You can type in www. Then you get on Instagram and you can find us at Moustachioed Podcastio. That's MOUST Ashio. So I spell it with the O and the U. And that's, so it's not the MUST that you often see. I think Moustachioed, spelling it that way is Britishy. I think that's the way they spell it in England. I just thought it looked better. Yeah. But yeah, so Moustachioed Podcastio on Instagram, Podcastio on Twitter. And I think I'm on Facebook. I haven't gone to that page in a while, but it's there. So yeah. You can always direct message me if you have any suggestions for movies like Patrick did in this episode. I'm always looking for more ideas on movies to cover because there's a lot of mustaches out there, people, and I want them to be on the show. So any help?
You gotta catch them all, man.
Yeah. That's a good bit. I think I might do something like that with Pokemon and mustaches.
Yeah,
gotta
there
catch
you
them all.
go. You could have that one for sure.
Thanks, man.
You can follow me, Twitter and Instagram at your homie Pat. Also check out Antisocial Hour. It's a podcast that I'm been a guest on or part of, however you want to say it. At Antisocial Comedy on Instagram. And then Daniel, thanks for doing this, man.
Oh, wait, hold on. I will say, listen to Patrick's episode on the Moustachioed Podcastio. I'm not 100% sure which number episode it is, but it's stir crazy.
Stir
and
crazy.
It's
A lot of
freaking
fun.
hilarious.
It was
There
a
are
lot
some
of fun.
moments in that episode. Just awesome. Loved it.
Yeah. Listen
Thank
to
you so much.
listen to all the episodes. Listen to all the mustachios. Watch the movie and then listen to them. That makes it more funner.
It does. I can't.
All right, man. Thanks for doing this. Check you later.
Hell yeah, brother.